Welcome to the podcast, Badass Mother Hustler, where the grit, stress, and the beauty of motherhood and entrepreneurship meet. We'll share the realities and stories of what it takes to make it all work and still be a badass mother. Now here's your host, Mattie Yaka.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Today, I'm chatting with badass mother hustler, Natalie McCabe. She's a mother to 2 children, ages 18 and 20, and the owner of multiple businesses. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Mattie. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Our intro call was so fun, and I can't wait to just take that and dive into it for the next 45 minutes.
Sounds good. It will go where it goes.
Love it. That's what I love, just off the cuff. So can you start off by telling everyone where you're from, a little bit about yourself and what you like to do?
Sure. I'm from, originally I was born in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada. So it's very small province on the east coast of Canada, and I've spent most of my life here. We're surrounded by the ocean, so I'm okay. It's beautiful. Winters, not so much, but we're working on that. I love to socialize with people. I love to work with children. I've been a school teacher for 30 years, and recently I'm moving into parent coaching, and I really find that so much fun, so amazing, and to see transformation in families. So I'm really enjoying that. My free time, I like to go to the beach. I like to read, take time out to do yoga, meditation. That self-care piece is really important for moms. So
yes, it is. And we've discussed that on quite a few podcasts. Now, how close is the beach to you?
About, depends on what beach, but there's so many, probably between 20 and 30 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go to the beach, if I wanted to get there quickly, I would have to drive like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky.
Yeah. It's like a whole day trip, not just a few hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
And can you tell everyone a little bit about what parent coaching is?
Absolutely. I'd love to start with this because everybody knows what a life coach is. Everybody knows what a business coach is. But when people hear the word parent coach, they're like, is this one going to tell me what to do? Right? Now, some parents might want someone to tell them what to do, but that's not really what parent coaching is. I work with the parents and their strengths and their values and what's important to them in their individual family, because we all know every family is unique. Every child is unique. We even parent them differently because of their different personalities. So it's really important that we follow, of course, the structure of appreciative inquiry, positive psychology, but for each individual, it is very different and very tailored to what is most important to them.
When you first said parent coaching, I immediately thought of super nanny. Do you remember that from the early 2000s?
Yeah, not the super nanny, not going to be rolling up in your house and, doing timeouts and things like that, right? Because there's a multitude, millions of strategies out there for kids, and there's so many amazing ones, but each strategy isn't tailored for each particular child or parent to be able to use it effectively. Right. So that's why it's really important that it's an individualized process that is most beneficial because it's unique for that family system.
I'm just thinking, how would someone know that they might need a parent coach?
Well, if you're just struggling day to day, if you're completely overwhelmed with certain particular issues that are happening with your child and you've tried everything, nothing seems to be working, and you just want to calm the chaos in your home and get some of that flow of life back. I mean, parenting's the hardest job in the world. So, you really have to, if you're overwhelmed and just are tired of searching for books to read and, all of these things, reach out.
You've gone through parenting twice. You've read all the books. You are the shortcut person.
I did it alone for 15 years. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So when I say about the coaching, I can coach from toddlers to teens, because I've been through all of that. And, funnily enough, the toddler stage, some of those strategies I used with my kids as they were toddlers, they also worked as teenagers, which I know seems so strange, But, when they're having an emotional meltdown as teenagers get into their hormonal, I used some of those same calming strategies I used when they were toddlers. It was really cool.
Like, what would be one strategy that overlapped?
Oh, definitely. And this works for any child that's dysregulated is you have to calm yourself. You have to step back for a moment and not talk. Just stop talking. Like, no matter what developmental, they're not hearing you because their prefrontal cortex is not getting the messages. Their amygdala is in charge. They're in fight or flight mode. And you're just going to either escalate the situation and make it worse. So and I had to do that with my teenagers, right? They're having this melt, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to speak. We're going to have a conversation when everybody's calm. That emotional regulation piece is huge.
You're like, I'm going to make a lap around the house, and when I come back, we will have this conversation.
Yes. Or it might not be for a couple hours,
Yeah.
Whatever works, right? So yeah.
So you are the owner of multiple businesses. That is so cool. Does entrepreneurship run in your family?
Actually, it did kind of, but no. It's a funny story. Funny story about that. My father was so in love with entrepreneurship. He wanted to start businesses, buy franchises, do all the things. My mother wouldn't let him.
So
Basically.
he was like a wannabe entrepreneur, but just never quite was able to take the next step.
Well, his next step actually was when he left teaching being a principal at the school board. They hired him at the university in my small town to create a whole curriculum based on entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
For children in elementary school.
Yes.
So he would go into let's say a grade 2 class, and he would take them through all of the steps of starting a business, from the brainstorming to the concept to the pricing to, the whole thing. And they did it kind of as a class project. It was really neat.
I wish that when I was teaching, we had done something like that, because there is a life skill that could have been learned, or the kids could have dipped their toes into it and see if they wanted to start creating a business.
Kids are so creative. I mean, even at my after school program, it's free play, and we have every toy and gadget imaginable in nature, and dress up and all the things. Anyway, so the kids at the craft table one day, they wanted to start making things, bracelets and things, and they wanted to sell them. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's set up a mall. So because then it just grew throughout the room of 30 kids. Right now, everybody wants to be selling things. It was play money. Actually, I made them make their own money too. Right?
So fun. My daughter did that recently, and she shoved it all in her little cash register. It was so cute.
Yeah. So they had a blast with that. They had their own storefronts, those big poster boards. And then we had the older kids come down from another room to shop. And they had so much fun.
Kids are so creative, and not trying to make it super personal, but that's why, and I was a teacher, that's why I want to homeschool my child, because I don't want to beat the creative flame out of her. I just want to keep it going.
Absolutely. I agree. There's a reason I'm not teaching anymore either, right?
Yeah.
It's that could be a whole other podcast with that topic, right?
When we were on the phone, we're like, two used to be teachers. What happened?
What happened? The system took our creativity, and our time, is just not the same. I mean, I was in and out of the teaching over the 30 years because I was running my business and things. But the difference from when I started to teach to now is unbelievable. The workload, we don't have time to have fun and be creative because our administrators are just get it done, right? Do it. Like
data, state testing. We have to hit these data points. It was such a shame because we really didn't have time to do creative things until after the state test occurred. And then that leaves us with a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot. Although the one thing I did with my fifth graders that they absolutely loved was they created lanterns. So it was like using math, and they had to make like hexagon lanterns or octagons or whatever shape. And then we did like a lantern festival where their parents got to come in, and they created lantern packets that they could sell so kids could make them at home. And that was so cool.
That's amazing. You
But
got the
it was only
entrepreneurship
the
in there.
last month.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's meant to be fun, and the kids should be able to be way more creative and focus on their strengths and their passions, right?
Yes.
And that's what you can do at homeschooling.
Yep.
And Montessori also is another great option.
Yes, I've heard lots of great things about Montessori.
Mhm.
So, how did you end up with being the owner of 2 businesses or multiple businesses? I wanna know, like,
Well,
what gave you the idea? How'd
it's
you get
well,
started?
it came out of need. So, my marriage broke up and I moved home to my home little town, and so I'm familiar, and I start to substitute, and I had no childcare for my children after school. So I was like, okay, what can we do here? And it was a big learning curve, but I just kind of went in there in blissful ignorance, like, okay, let's just start a licensed child care center in the school. And I had a good relationship with the teachers at the school because I had done my practicum there years and years before. So, small towns, people, they rally. And so that began. The kids were in grade primary and grade one. So it was really nice to be running that business. And then my children would come to me after school. And then it grew to like 75 families now. And the waiting list is like years to get
Wow.
in, because it's amazing. The staff there are top notch, like the best. So that makes a huge difference.
Now, what did you have to do in order to make that happen? Did you have to apply for permits or take tests or
So I was able to get school age approval for early childhood. And I did start to take my early childhood education as well. But the licensing process is very long and difficult. There's, the tons of documents you need to have, and you need them to come and measure the room to see how many children you can have in there.
Mm.
You need to have 7 different play areas for free play, about food and the snacks, like, scheduling parent meetings. I mean, the licensing was just, yeah. But
You had
once,
to have parent meetings as an after school care?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
like check-ins, like parent conferences?
No, just, a kind of a group meeting to kind
Oh,
of
okay.
give the parents, to let them know what's happening at the center, and, any issues that they wanted to bring up, and just give them a lowdown about what's happening, right? But we're in contact. It's like there's mini parent conferences every day when the child's getting picked up,
Yep,
right?
yep.
If there was anything that happened in the day, my staff are amazing. They, if it was a good thing, parents hear about it. If it wasn't a good thing, parents hear about it, and it's, it's that open level of communication that happens on a daily, every day.
I was just gonna say that open communication.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had that business for how long?
So probably 15 years now.
And what was it like trying to get that business running as a newly single parent with 2 children?
That was tough. That was tough. But I was, they were just with me all the time, or in the neighborhood playing with their friends, and mom's in there on the computer getting all this paperwork done. It was easier because they were then in school. Right. So I had those just that time when they were in school, and I was substitute teaching at the same time. And then after that, I decided I was going to start kinder music also, which is music and movement for babies and toddlers. I don't know if you've ever experienced a kinder music class.
No.
Mattie, it is like a drug. It is so much fun. Like, I was trying to figure out how could I do this full time, because I'm singing and dancing with babies, and all the activities in kinder music were based on early child brain development.
That's awesome.
When I had my kids, that was a huge interest of mine, because I studied my kids. I was like, they're like little scientists. How are their brains doing all of this? So I really dove deep, like a big nerd, into research and all of these things. And that's how I had found the kinder music. So I ran that for about 6 years. It was so much fun. The parents would come to the class, babies. We worked on social skills and emotional skills and obviously physical skills, cognitive learning, just so much fun.
So that was for really little kids?
Yes. So they have it for infants right up to age 1. And then there's a different class for 1 to 2-year-olds and a class for 2 to 3-year-olds and a class for 3 to 4-year-olds. So they were, age grouped out, and the parents always came.
And where was that after school as well? Or was that at a
No,
library or?
that was at a couple of different locations. I rented a studio, shared a studio with a dance school for most of my classes. But then the baby class, I got into a senior's home. And the seniors all came and sat around and gave them instruments. And they, of course, just loved the babies, right? And the moms of the babies loved all the attention their little ones were getting, And I remember some of the staff saying to me, it's amazing. This guest is almost like catatonic. They don't move or smile and sure enough, kinder music class day comes and this guest is shaking a little egg shaker and flying a scarf around and, having a blast. So
I love that. That is so magical. And that must have been just such a great thing to see and experience.
it really, my face hurt at the end of every class. It was just amazing. It's such joy, just pure joy.
And do you still have that business?
I don't.
Okay.
I moved to a larger city in in my province, and actually, this was another business.
Girl, you are like the entrepreneur of all entrepreneurs, just trying it all. I love it.
Well, I have a friend. She says that we both have entrepreneurial ADHD.
That's funny.
So in moving to the larger city, as my children were getting older, I wanted to be in a city where their universities were. So I thought, okay, well, how can I have 2 businesses that are in separate locations. How can I, kind of combine them and move them to the bigger city, things like this. I did find an amazing franchise that did exactly that. It was a combination of childcare and baby music classes, baby dance classes, baby sports and gym and all these things.
So cute.
So I did sign on to that franchise. However, financing was very difficult as a single mom.
Yeah.
So that did not come to fruition. But at the same time, I'm actually very, very grateful for that, because when I think now, 24/7 staffing difficulties, like 7 days a week. This place would have been, yes, because they also they had birthday parties, was also part of it as well. And I was like, I don't know, right?
That would be a business that would run your life.
Totally run my life. And I thought, no, this is too much. So it was really a blessing in disguise that didn't come to fruition.
Yeah. Things happen for a reason.
They do. And then the parent coaching
came
along.
Yes. So how long have you had this business for?
About a year. So it's relatively new. I just left the classroom last year.
For good.
They offered me a permanent contract and I said, yep, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And in Canada, we're paid very well as educators.
Yeah, you told me that on the phone.
Yeah, they just got a raise, right? But they're burning out they're dropping like flies. The ones that are ready to retire, they're retiring early. The young ones coming out, I've heard a story of talking to a friend last night. Her son is taking his education and he was in a school that there was a lot of issues and he spoke out. And now he's having trouble getting placed for his practicum because teachers are not allowed to speak out about anything that's happening in the schools. I am now.
Yeah.
Because I've been out for a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so I thought, you know what? What's the best way I can use my skills to help families and children? And I thought, parents. If I help the parents, I'm helping the children. So it just felt like a comfortable way to use my skills and be an entrepreneur, because obviously that is very dear to my heart. It is a mindset that, when I went back to the schools for a couple of years after I moved up here, because I had to, and everybody else in the school are at their blinders on and everything's being dumped on them. And they're just like, oh, well, this is the way it is. And this is how it has to be. And I'm like, what? No, what? don't stop thinking that. It doesn't have to be like this. It's not supposed to be like this. But they're just not in a place to think outside the box, right? And they're not
I
allowed to
mean, it
speak
goes
out.
back to what we said. Why crush the creative flame?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Yeah.
so it has to be crushed in order for it to be built anew, though. So that's kind of the positive spin I put on it, is that things will have to get a bit worse before they get better, but they will get better. I do
Yeah.
honestly believe that the children of today are not going to stand for this much longer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's funny, or not funny, but when I got out of college in 2012, I could not find a teaching job unless I wanted to go to Virginia. Like, that's where the openings were, near Pennsylvania. And I was like, I'm not going to Virginia. And I subbed for almost 3 years until I got a teaching job. And I taught for 5 years. And then, like, all the COVID stuff happened. And I decided to start my own business so I could be home with my daughter. But it's like, now they can't get anyone to teach, and they can't even get subs. Like, it was hard to sub before. And I think I just heard recently that they'll take someone with like a high school diploma to sub, whereas before you had to have a college degree or at least like education.
Same here. We're not down to the high school diploma, but I know for substitutes, and I think even now for terms, because they're so desperate here, as long as you have a college degree, it doesn't have to have anything to do with education.
Yeah, it's wild.
They'll get a job, right?
Yeah.
So
teachers have to be treated a different way in order to make people want to come back into that profession.
They need to be supported. They need to be supported, and they're
By
the students.
admin, by parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the heck happened.
I know. It feels like it just all comes down to money, right? They're just trying to throw money in the wrong places. Oh, here's a new phonics program that just cost the school $3,000. We'd really like another teacher assistant to help with our behavior children or our special needs children. Do you know what I mean? Like, but here's a case of 3,000 books. Awesome. We need the time to teach the children to read. And then the books might be more helpful.
Oh my God.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So I took us down a rabbit hole, but
That's
so
okay.
I guess from teaching, that is what gave you the idea to start parent coaching?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then what was it like getting that business up and running? How do you start something like that?
That was just a whole lot of like, wow. I'm still following shiny things, because online life as a teacher, we were told, don't post on social media. Don't do any of these things. So I had no idea about what to do for an online business. And so I've gone down many rabbit holes and spent money in the wrong places and figured out business coaches and email lists and how to post on social media, what to post on social media. So it's so not linear, right? My other businesses were very linear. Here's your steps, follow them, boom, to get to your goal. With this sort of business, it's like you're spinning all the plates at once. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
Yeah.
should I work on this today? What is the best thing I could do to move this ahead in this online space that is quite crowded? Let's face it, everybody's trying to do an online business. So probably in the last couple of months, I've realized, okay, Natalie, well, it was a friend of mine who owns a multi-million-dollar business. And she said to me, Natalie, you know what the first rule of business is? And I'm like, what is it? Right? I'm listening to you, honey. And she said, stick to what you're good at. So we were working on
that.
Right. So at the time we were working on my book cover on Canva, and I'm like, right, Canvas. I know people love it. I get you. I'm like, it's not my bag. Right. So she said, what do you do? Well, I said, talk to people. So that's one of the reasons I said, well, let me talk to people on podcasts, and that's hopefully going to be a way to get myself out there. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's it's funny that you said stick to your own thing, because I'm a realtor, and there's a huge age range of realtors in our office, and we're all talking about social media and stuff like that. And there's Instagram, there's Facebook, and I've shared about things to do on Instagram. And one of the other realtors said, look, the fact of the matter is, if you're a Facebook person, just stick to Facebook. Just stick with what you're comfortable with and where your audience is, and you can reach the most people. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, you don't want to overwhelm yourself and then just have it be like down the gutter.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I mean, I have other ways. I have many ways to get clients. So I'm not dependent on social media for that, but I do know that social media now is a tool to find out about someone. So if I meet someone in person, or if a lawyer refers me some parents that are having difficulty with co-parenting or anything, they're going to check my socials. So I do try to regularly post and, and promote the podcasts that I'm on for the host, right? And, post some things that are important to me in the area of parenting, so they can see that I am a real person and get to know me a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, people use business Instagrams as like the yellow pages now. Like, you hear someone or someone refers you, where are they going to look? They're going to look on Instagram. Oh, was the last time you posted 2 months ago? Okay.
Yeah. What is this person actually doing with their life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So balancing motherhood and being an entrepreneur is not always smooth sailing. What has been stressful about managing both roles? I mean, and for you, it's managing both roles while opening up new businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, getting the proper staff in place at my after school program it was a struggle for a number of years, because it is a part-time position. So now we're finally at a place, well, we've always had good staff, but we have a really core group of staff now that are just amazing. And my director is, well, I couldn't survive without her. Laura, I love you. I'm going to send her this.
Shout out to Laura. Woo, woo.
Yeah. They're absolutely amazing. So, I do the administrative side and grant applications and deal with the government and things like that. So
the fun stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff. So the biggest struggle is time management, right? As a parent. Now, my children are older now, but I remember back then I was substituting the after school program and kinder music and single mom in it. So one thing I needed to do was schedule my time, everything. So
Time block.
I have what I call a brain book, that it's just basically a really good day timer that I took with me everywhere. And I still use it to this day. I know everybody's doing their online Google calendars. I'm a paper girl.
No, I have the same exact thing. And I'm so excited every year because I order a new one with a new cover. And I put like a new little mantra on the front to like hype me up for the new year. I am a paper gal.
Yeah, it's all about that, because you have to look ahead of, okay, what are some of the things coming up here that I need to, and just having it all there in front of you is just so helpful. And then there was a point after we moved up here, my daughter was so busy. She was in a theater production group for a couple of months. So her rehearsals were long and a lot, and at the other side of the city. And then my son was in high level soccer. And so his games and practices, whatever. So at one point I had 3 different highlighters going.
Oh my God.
Mine was yellow. My daughter's was pink. My son was blue. So I could glance to see, and I've kept them. Like, I had a staff say to me a number of years ago, when I showed her, I opened up my brain book because I carried it with me everywhere and making notes. And I'm like, don't talk to me unless I have a sticky note, right? Like, I need to write stuff down. And she looked at my book. She said, if I had to look at that, I'd be in a corner crying. But for me, for my personality, very calming, because I knew everything that I needed to do, even paying bills, all in the book. So I closed the book and I sleep like a baby, knowing that it's all there, instead of having the race of, oh, I got to do this and I can't forget that. I can go to sleep and forget all of that, right? Because I know I just have to open my eyes and look. And
Is this something that some parents come to you with as one of their issues and you help them when you're parent coaching, or what are
Absolutely.
yeah.
The issues are wide and varied. From too much technology
Yeah.
to, anxiety to, what's another, dealing with their ex co-parent,
Yep.
communication, you know, rifts there. Um, mom with just 4 kids, just completely overwhelmed with like laundry and dishes and like just socks. Like, when you have 4 kids, you can just get overwhelmed with socks.
Okay, hold on. So I am the oldest of 8 kids, and it's so funny you brought up socks because we had 2 laundry baskets in the laundry room of unmatched socks, and it was a nightmare. And my mom had her own business, and I don't know how she did it, but like every Mother's Day or for her birthday, I would just dump all the socks on the family room floor and be like, I'm going to spend hours matching the socks. This is your gift. So yeah, I feel the sock thing.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So yeah, for parent coaching, no problem's too big or too small, really. As long as the parent is willing to be open to making some changes if they want some changes, right?
So do you come into someone's house and observe, or is it all just like
No,
Zoom?
it's
Okay.
all Zoom. I don't typically get to meet the children because I'm coaching the
Yep.
parent,
Okay.
right? So it's a series. So the program I have right now is a series of 10 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And we start with, obviously discovery, we build a dream, and then we work on those design steps. And, I give them little bits of homework to just maybe notice this
Mhm.
thing this week or whatever. And the the transformation in these tiny steps, the parents are often shocked at the end of 10 weeks. They're like, I didn't even really notice that happen. I'll go back to the beginning when I did their intake and say, well, remember you said you wanted this, this, and this, and this. Tell me how you see this, this, and this now, right? In what way? So
It's so helpful to have an outsider's perspective sometimes
absolutely.
because
Absolutely. You
you're
can't
not wearing
see,
the rose-colored glasses.
right?
You're
And
just seeing the black and white.
you can't see the forest for the trees. And there are some situations that are gray, right? But, you know, when I'm trained to ask questions, to have parents consider these things, have you ever thought about this? I wonder if you tried that, right? What do you think the motives are here, right? It's just, a lot of it happens naturally and organically depending on the situation. But I come in with some prepared questions too, because basically I'm drawing out of the parent, their own solutions,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they come up with them, which is amazing to me. That's the best way, I feel, because that's, if they come up with a solution, it's going to work for them.
Well, also, no one wants to be told what to do.
My hair used to be red. I was your typical redheaded child. Don't tell Natalie what to do, right? And had the temper and all the things. So, I totally resonate that as well. So that's why, and I really want to give a shout out to the Parent Coaching Institute, is who I'm trained by. And I did a lot of research on a lot of different parent coaching, organizations out there and, big name people. This program is master's level, the best, 100 hours of pro bono coaching, master's level coursework. I feel so prepared and trained on coaching. It was amazing. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, I can't believe we've been chatting for over a half hour. So I feel like we could just go on and on. But I'm going to turn us over to our rapid fire 5 and 5, where
sure.
everyone gets to learn a little bit more about you personally. So, what does your ideal chill day look like?
The beach. And see, here in Nova Scotia, we have to pack in and pack out. So I have my cooler and my beach bag and snacks, and just go in with everything planted there for the day, in and out of the water, floating. That's my favorite day.
I love that. Now, what is beach season like when you can be in a bathing suit and be hot? What is that? Is that like July for you? July to August or
Yeah.
June?
It's typically July, August. Sometimes we'll get some warm weather in June, but not always. You can't always, and the water is very, very, very cold in June. So July, August mainly. September, maybe a couple of weeks, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So.
Other than that, you're like doing the polar plunge in the ocean.
Or I'm not. No, I really like the warm weather. So
now, will you go to the beach in the colder weather and just sit there and like read, or you're only there? Yeah.
Really for me, it needs to be warm. The winter is difficult. But I've been, I want to build a life that I don't need a vacation from.
Yes.
Right. So my plan is to go to the Caribbean for a couple of months in the winter.
Oh, hell yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I've been going for 10 years to the Dominican Republic with my kids, right?
Yeah.
Renting a condo, never stay on resort. There's nothing wrong with these resorts. They're great. But for me, I just like the fact of being warm and being outside. So I can work all day. No problem. I can do anything in flip-flops and a sundress. Anything. Right.
Yeah.
So, but just to have that knowledge that, okay, when I'm finished my work day, I can just walk down to the beach.
Yeah.
And not have to put on a parka or shovel my car or scrape ice. I mean, I've been doing that my whole life. I'm kind of done with it.
Yeah. It's funny because in Pennsylvania, I feel like we used to get a lot of snow growing up, and we haven't really had a whole bunch of snow in the past couple years. So I've been chasing the snow, which you probably want to die hearing that.
Yep, that's pretty opposite.
Well, with little kids, I want them to be able to like sled and play in the snow, and it's not helpful if we get a dusting and then it's gone.
Yes, I get that. I did not complain about the snow when the kids were little. I did not one bit. I loved playing in it with them.
Yeah, but you outgrow it. So
yeah, I'm done now. I'm finished. I'm 50 now. I'm good.
Yeah. What are you currently reading or listening to?
So I listen to quite a lot of podcasts. I love Mel Robbins.
Yes.
And I'm just finished actually today. It's called The Push by Ashley Audrain. And it's a really kind of dark, deep look into generational trauma of mothers.
Oh, wow.
And how that's kind of passed down from the grandmother to the mother to the. So it was kind of a spooky wasn't what I was expecting. And it ended on a total cliffhanger. I have to call my friend who gave it to me. I'm like, where's the next book?
Wait, so is it fiction or nonfiction? And I'm totally writing this down.
It's fiction.
Oh,
here,
okay.
I have it right here. Like I literally finished it today.
Nice.
Yeah. But I couldn't put it down. I read it in 2 days.
And that looks like it was a thick book.
It was like some of the dark sides of motherhood are talked about. Right.
Yeah.
And, that's something that mothers need to talk about sometimes,
Yeah.
To realize they're not alone.
Yep. Yeah. All right. On that sad note, let's move to the next question.
Sorry.
It's all good. What's your favorite app or tool you use as an entrepreneur, a mom, or both?
Brainbook. Yep. Everything. And I also plan my meals. That was super helpful when the kids were young as well, to know if we have to rush out the door at soccer at 5:00, then I have to have something easy. My weekends would batch cooking, but knowing the meals, it's the same. It gave me that sense of calm to wake up in the morning and just have a sleep, look on the fridge. Okay, I want to take chicken out. Right. And people would say, well, what if you don't feel like eating chicken that day? I'm like, when you get home, you're hungry enough to eat what you have there, right?
I could eat chicken and rice all day, every day. My husband makes fun of me. What is the song you blast the shit out of if entrepreneur mom life is too much for you that day?
It's called Daydream by Lily Manola.
Okay.
So she was on America's Got Talent a number of years ago. I'm not sure how many of her other songs are out there and popular, but it's all about living your daydream.
Nice. I've not heard that one. So
you want to be blasting that. Blast that. You will love it.
Yeah. As soon as we get off, I'm going to pull it up. And then finally, what is some advice you can give a struggling entrepreneur mom?
Make self-care a priority. I'm so glad that you guys talk about that on the podcast, and the bigger version of the self-care. setting boundaries, saying no, asking for help. Self-care, even with my parent coaching, it's huge for all parents as well, not just entrepreneurs, right? The benefit of it is your children see you looking after yourself and valuing yourself. So then your children will model and take care of themselves and value themselves. And that's all we want for our kids.
Yes.
Right? Is to feel worthy and seen. So we have to literally show them. We can't tell them.
Yep.
Words don't teach, life experience teaches, right?
You can't tell someone what to do.
Nope, can't do it. Well, from my small town here in Nova Scotia, I've said this about 10 times this weekend. Can't tell a Heinz pickle nothing.
What?
I don't know where it came from. It's just something I heard all growing up. You can't tell a Heinz pickle nothing. Say, people aren't going to listen. Everybody's got to follow their own path.
Yep. That is very true. So if people wanted to reach out to you, if they had questions, what is the best way for them to reach out?
The best way is on my website, and it's very simply just nataliemccabe.com. There's a book a call button on there, and we can jump on and meet for 30 minutes, chat about if we think I'm a good fit. There's also a couple of freebies. There's a self-care tip sheet. People can download the first chapter of my book. And my other tip sheet is for co-parent communication tips for that. So there'll be more comings.
That is some awesome freebies. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I wanted to leave everyone with a quote like I always do. And today that is, there is no failure. You either win or you learn. Thank you so much, everyone. We will chat next time.
Thank you for joining this episode of Badass Mother Hustler. If you loved this episode as much as we did, and it left you feeling inspired and empowered, give us a quick like and subscribe, and we'll invite you back to our next episode. And be sure to share us on your socials and visit our Instagram, Badass Mother Hustler Podcast. We'll see you next time.